If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pato.
In case you guys can't tell, I am, and maybe you don't know yet, but you will. I'm still very sick. I don't know what's going on here.
You sound slightly more Midwestern than usual.
Do I? I probably do. Yeah, I just don't have it in me to put on anything but my natural voice. I don't know. If that, I guess. It just sucks, it's the fucking middle of summer, it's the beginning of hot girl summer, and there's nothing hot about this except for my fucking fever. So it's been great, but but I'm not soft, so we're gonna get this episode out. That's I'm still gonna work.
Right.
That's I do have PayPal and Cash App if you guys want to tip me.
You need to start giving those.
I know
you don't do that, so I don't.
I know.
Is it on your link tree?
It is actually. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You can look at my link tree. Maybe I'll just link it in the description. I'm getting better at this, so I will link it in the description. You can pay me money. You can actually, if you're listening to Anchor, you can support the podcast with a monthly contribution via Anchor. There is a way to do that. I keep promising all these great things like a Patreon and a website and all that. It's happening. It's just that other things keep happening too. So. Anyway, I know how desperate you guys are to give me your money, so I'll figure out a way for you to do that. But anyway,
right, and it's all going to go to her because I don't need people trying to claim child support on any of this shit from my cut of it. So it is all going to her. None of this is going anywhere near me. No one's getting fucking 18% of it. This is.
But you could probably write it off as a donation on your taxes. Like, I donate my whole salary to this fucking crazy redhead.
No, because then I'd have a crazy redhead in Crestwood trying to get fucking 18% of it. So no, I gain no income from this. I gain no income from
this. That's true. Well, anyway, how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty awesome. It was very much a return to form from my early 20s. I got super, super wasted Friday night.
Yeah.
Very quickly because it was very hot here in Chicago all week. So I was probably running a little bit low on the fluids. And when I finally sat down Friday night to watch The Drive-In, and I caught probably the last 2/3 of Evil Speak, and which was a great movie. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, this is my first season watching Joe Bob's Drive-In, and sometimes I feel like it does not kind of deliver on the hype that predated me actually sitting down to watch it every Friday night. The first movie this week totally delivered on it 100%. And I still need to go back and watch things. But Evil Speak was
things yet?
No, I have not. But after the awesomeness that was Evil Speak, I will definitely check it out because that was the best time I've had at the movies all year.
Yeah,
put that on the fucking poster. That was great. Yeah. And I also managed to get completely annihilated by the end of it, even though I didn't even. It was like a 2-hour movie with the little intermission stuff. And like the last thing I remember from Joe Bob was the Clint Howard song. And then I think I got up and like had a cigarette outside and came back and the movie was going and it was like in subtitles and I was like, fuck this. And I put on Rick and Morty and kind of passed out sitting up in my chair.
Man, that's too bad because you would have really liked that movie. It was Day of the Beast. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Oh my gosh, you would have really liked it. It's about like metal and like
Was it Italian or French?
That's a really good question. I want to say
one of the Romance languages. It doesn't really matter.
I don't know. Right? You had to read the shit. I mean, but you should go back and watch that one. But watch things first. But no, Day of the Beast is really good too. It was really a lot of fun. It was a really. At first, I was like, because I'm not really into like. I don't know. I'm not into like religious type movies or anything, but like, like people might hate me for this, but like I don't like The Exorcist. That shit's boring. It's boring as fuck.
I I am not going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I like it, but I don't. I think the regard that it's held in is kind of like, it feels like people my age that worship the Beatles. And you're like, yeah, man, the Beatles were good and they did their thing, but they're fucking old. Like, isn't there something more contemporary that speaks to you? The classics will always be the classics, will always be the classics. But, instead of talking about The Exorcist, talk about how fucking awesome The Mist is or something. I don't know.
Oh, well, right. I mean, The Exorcist, I just feel like is very outdated now. I mean, obviously it made its mark. I'm not going to shit on it for that. I'm not going to shit on it at all.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's a great film, and
right,
I love
it's a timepiece, right? And I get that, but my point is, I'm not usually into those types of movies. Day of the Beast, though, I was all for it. That's a good fucking movie. Yes, it's in subtitles. Power through it. It's worth it. I promise. It's hilarious. I don't know if it was supposed to be or not, but I thought it was. So I don't know, maybe not. But it's got like metal and stuff in it. It's about like, I don't know, Satan and stuff. So I won't give too much away, but no, it was good.
I have zero problem with subtitles, but I will say that Friday night was not the right moment for me to be trying to watch a film in subtitles. But on average, they don't bother me at all. I've gone and seen subtitle movies in the theater and shit. It's actually, that's the better way to watch them, because there's less distractions and you kind of have to be focused on it. Subtitled movies, you can't casually glance down on your phone or try to live tweet them, because you can't. Once you look away from the screen, you're completely cut off from what's happening. Yeah.
And like, I watch everything that I watch with captions on anyway, because I don't know, my sister's deaf, and we always have, and so I'm used to that. And plus, I don't want to like miss anything. I miss a lot. Sometimes I'm like, what did he say? Because I don't know, I'm stupid. I don't know.
No, I do that.
Me, but like, that's what I do. And so I'm used to that anyway. I don't know. Plus, we were kind of just talking. I watch really fucked up movies, and most of them aren't American, so that's kind of just my flavor. But no, yeah, watch that. It was good. This coming Friday is the season finale for The Last Drive-In. So I'm sad. I feel like it came and went too fast. I don't know, but I guess just all good things must come to an end. They'll be back, but I don't know. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what they show.
And friend of the podcast, Mike Vanderbilt, will be live tweeting from the Mutant Family account. So make sure you follow them and harass him.
Yeah, if you do the Mutant Family thing, definitely go harass Mike. Ask him to send you sexy pictures, because he will.
And if he doesn't hit me up, because I got some. Actually, now that I think about it, I have one that I'll probably post Friday night of me and him.
Do it
in a hotel room together, in bathrobes.
I can only imagine, but you should definitely do it. Yeah. But yeah, so that was fun. Well, I did that. It was a perfect night for me to do. Like I said, I've been sick. My kid went camping, and she kind of went camping, but I'm just going to say she went camping, and
sure.
She's been gone like for days. And
is she okay?
Yeah, she's all right. She's alive. She's just not here. But she's been gone, and I've been looking forward to this time. I'm like, oh, good. I'm going to have like 4 nights without my kid. I'm going to fucking live it up. It's going to be great.
Right.
I'm sick to death. So
yeah.
I haven't done anything, you guys, which, I guess it's really funny. The universe has a really hilarious way of like kicking you in the ass and telling you to slow down. And I suppose maybe that's what this is. And like, it's funny because for the first time on social media, I don't bitch a lot. I really don't. I mean, if you guys know me, I really don't complain a lot. I'm not very negative. But for the first time since this whole sickness, and I've been sick for like a week and a half, I posted on social media yesterday, and somebody was like, well, I'd tell you to rest, but I know you're not going to do that. So it's just like, well,
right.
Life goes on. You're sick. Life goes on, whatever. But anyway, so what else any other exciting,
oh yeah. So Saturday, well, first of all, I have to kind of backtrack on something I said last episode. So I rewatched Cruella because I had my daughter Saturday evening.
Yeah.
And I actually finished watching it, and my wife called me out on this because she listens to the podcast. And she's like, you pretended that you watched Cruella, but you fell asleep like halfway through, which I did, right? But I'm 40 years old. Like, I fall asleep all the fucking time during movies. Like, it's just something that happens at this age. If it's not good, I fall asleep during it. So I did miss the second half of Cruella. So last episode when I talked about it, I talked about there being one American band. It was the Doors. I was completely wrong. There's actually a ton of American music in it, and there's an even bigger, more prominent scene with the Iggy and the Stooges thing, where she does a fashion show to "I Want to Be Your Dog," which is cool in its own right. But then you're like, oh yeah, because it's from 101 Dalmatians, so it's like it kind of works on that level too.
Yeah.
But so that was Saturday. Now after that, I got sick, and I think it might have been because of something I ate. I'm not entirely sure, but I had like I went to go to bed Saturday night. I had like horrendous like stomach problems. Like my stomach was on fire, and it was like super swollen and like just like a hard bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I kind of got a beer belly, but you know, it's squishy. And this wasn't like that. This was like I had a bowling ball under my shirt or something. And it was super hard, and I was in a lot of pain, and was able to like fall asleep Saturday night briefly for like 2 hours. And then I woke up at like midnight, and I was in like the worst pain of my life. And I honestly thought that like I was going to have to go to the hospital or something. Like it was so bad. And little backstory. So I'd taken like a fair amount of edibles Saturday
Okay.
and Friday.
Okay.
And I got these edibles that like usually I give them to my dog, but they're called mints, but they're basically like pills, like aspirin pills, right? And but they're kind of minty, but they got THC in them, which is totally legal here in Illinois. And so I had taken a couple of those on Saturday throughout the day. And so there's that, right? And I had I probably still had booze in my stomach from Friday because I drank a whole bunch of it. Didn't drink it all on Saturday, but then like I want to say, I don't think I have ulcers, but like I could, right? Because when I get nervous sometimes because or like stressed out, my stomach has a tendency to flip flop. Basically, my whole entire life, before every single like punk show I've ever played, before every DJ set I've ever done, before every film festival I've ever gone to, I always throw up on the car ride there, like without fail. I get nervous, my stomach starts flip flopping, I fucking puke. Right, it just happens, and I don't know if I don't know if it's because I have ulcers, but usually like when stress induces vomiting, like that's not good. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, but other than that, I don't really have stomach issues. Okay. So when I woke up Saturday night, I was sick. I drank a whole bunch of water and just kind of like made myself like throw up a little bit. And then I sat in the recliner and I was like completely naked. And like I sit in the recliner in the back room, and I started hallucinating so fucking hard. And it was like a fucking mushroom trip. It was it was so intense. Every time I closed my eyes, it was like this crazy, vibrant. You ever see 2001: A Space Odyssey? When the astronaut touches the thing at the end and all that shit starts flying through his field of vision and stuff. It was like that. It didn't scare me. It wasn't like, it didn't give me an anxiety or anything. I was in the right frame of mind where I just kind of enjoyed it and was like, what the fuck is this? Like, we're going on a ride, man. And, it was really fucking intense. And I don't know if it was I don't know if, because, you're not supposed to drink on certain type of medication because the way it interacts with your stomach. Ulcers can exasperate that and like kind of make it more intense. I don't know if the THC pills that I took were too chalky and aspirin-y, and sometimes that can upset your stomach. I don't know if it was the food that I ate Friday night, you know what I mean? Because like my daughter got kind of sick too, but she was out playing softball all afternoon, so she might have just had heat stroke.
Hot, right?
Yeah, like there's so many different factors at play, and I definitely wasn't like clean and sober, right? Like I was sober, like I hadn't drank a drop on Saturday, but I mean I drink until like 2 a.m. or I don't even fucking know when on Friday. So there was a lot of shit in my system still, probably, but it was pretty crazy, and it was very enjoyable and very intense, and it was one of those like I can only it was a positive hallucinatory experience. And I didn't see anything. There was no, it wasn't like a DMT trip. There was no entities or anything involved, but it was definitely enjoyable.
Yeah, okay.
And I just kind of sat up Saturday night and like rode that out for about an hour. And then eventually that wore off and I passed out in the chair for a couple hours and then crawled back into bed at like 5 a.m. So, yeah, so that was my weekend. And then, just been prepping for, two things to pimp real quick. We have another people who make shit, or people who make stuff. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Episode coming out in the near future with what's his name? Drew Schmidt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, listeners of the podcast, be on the lookout for that. That was a really, really, really. We never kind of did a debriefing after that, but like for somebody that I was like, I don't know what this guy's going to talk about. Like, it'll be kind of cool to talk about his game. We got really in depth about like the psychology of being an artist and the creative process and stuff. Yeah. That got really like group therapy. And I really can't wait for that to come out because I would say that's one of my I don't know if it's in top 10. Yeah, fuck. Drew's a good guy. I'll say it's in my top 10. One of my top 10 like podcasting experiences was that interview. It was very good. It was very like.
It's probably the first time I've ever really gone into an interview, which I guess we're kind of going to do this a lot with this series, but without really knowing anything about, the person that was in it. It's not like I didn't know anything.
Right.
But, usually a lot of the guests that like we've had on this show have been like, friends and like people that, I know and I have like some type of a rapport with, you know what I mean? So,
or public figures that have done like a dozen other interviews that you could listen to and you know what they're going to come in and talk about.
Right. Exactly. And so it was an interesting experience to kind of, go in it just kind of cold, I don't say cold turkey, but I guess that's what we did. And just kind of, wing it and see the natural flow of the conversation. Was very, very natural. But yeah, no, it was good. And it should be out. I'm gonna, what, fuck it. I'm committing. It'll be out Friday.
I wasn't going to push you to do that, but I mean,
I did it. I know now that it's out there, it has to.
Right.
So, of course, again, I'm very ill, but yeah. And then, I've got another interview set up this week with a couple of other podcasters that do other things as well. But, they make stuff. And if you would like to make stuff, definitely get a hold of us and we will schedule you guys in there. I know a lot of people have. I keep saying this. A lot of you have. And I see them. I see your messages. And I love you. And you will come on the show. Just, obviously, again, I'm sick and life. And, it'll happen. It'll happen. So
go to October 2020 Instagram of Asher's and try to imagine what that woman's DM folder looks like.
Oh, I thought that was August.
Oh, was it August?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, go to August.
It's been a hot minute, but
they'll start reemerging soon.
Like the cicadas, they pop out every couple months.
Every August.
Yeah, every August they come alive. But yeah, so imagine what her DMs look like. So just give her fucking time to sort through the wheat from the shaft, and
well, that was like the picture I posted today, and I'm like making my stupid face, and I make that face a lot, guys. To be honest with you, like you guys think that like I'm actually like attractive, like I'm not. Like my facial expressions are just fucking goofy, and I look like a weirdo.
Oh, you mean sometimes girls suck in their cheeks when they take pictures? I didn't fucking know that.
No, actually, I don't do that. I don't do that. Because if I did, then my cheekbones just be out. They're already fucking outrageous enough. I don't need help. But no, I'm just very expressive. If you guys ever seen me on like a live or anything, and I try to like calm it down, but just my face speaks volumes. And so I posted a picture of my dumb face, and somebody had commented on it, and they were like, "Oh, it looks like you're taking a dump or something." And I was like,
"Maybe she is."
Whoa! And I was like,
"Subscribe to the Patreon and find out."
Find out, yeah. No, I was like, I told him, I was like, "Guy, let's be honest. Nobody is looking at my face in this picture."
Oh, that's not entirely true.
I mean, when you're all tits, I don't know. I wasn't, so I wasn't looking at my own face. But it is what it is. I don't care. I mean, you got assets, you got to use them. So
right,
that's what you do. But anyway, so no, I will get back to people. It will happen. We will have you on the People Who Make Stuff show. And of course, on Wednesdays we talk weird. If you have something weird to talk about, come on the show. Fuck it.
Right. Or email us. Email us your stories.
Email us your stories. Right. We'll read your stories, or DM them or whatever. All of my information. Maybe I should just start posting my personal link tree in the description. That way everybody's got everything.
Yeah.
But all of my information's on there for you to contact me and whatnot. But you can email the show. The show has its own email address. On Wednesdays we talk weird @gmail.com. So
there you go.
Email the show. But anyway,
I wanted to promote the Clubhouse thing too.
Yes, we have 2 big Clubhouse events coming up.
Yeah, you got one tomorrow with Tobias.
I do. So
and
tomorrow,
a bunch of other people. The list keeps growing.
Very cool people. It's done now. Okay, so tomorrow night on Clubhouse, you guys know we've been doing the Clubhouse thing. Pat's been starting to get more involved with it, which is wonderful. And other people. I mean, it just continues to grow. We're part of the Cryptozoology Club over on the Clubhouse app. Tomorrow evening, usually Wednesday nights, we do the Bigfoot Society podcast recording. Jeremiah Byron has taken a break for the month of June, so we've all kind of picked up the slack. I was given a date. My date is tomorrow, and my date is today, Wednesday.
just give like the dates to people.
What is the date? The 16th.
The 16th.
That's the date. On the 16th of June, I will be hosting a room where we talk about Mothman. We talk about kind of the origins of Mothman and modern day and wherever it takes us. But the really cool thing about it is it's not just myself. You guys know I know Mothman. I know my Mothman stuff. But it's also Tobias Whalen and Emily Whalen from the Singular Freudian Society. You guys know Tobias. He's been on the show. He's authored the Lake Michigan Mothman book. He's kind of the Chicago Mothman guy. And then, of course, there's going to be Aaron Dees, who is from Hey Strangeness. Aaron is very kind of new to the game. He's kind of adorable. But he's very new to researching, but he's got some very cool French ideas, and I'm excited to have him talk about those ideas more, and especially in a space like Mothman area, because he's good at that. And then we also have Heather Moser from Small Town Monsters, who, also knows her Mothman stuff. Small Town Monsters, you guys know, they've made the Mothman trilogy. They're currently filming On the Trail of the Lake Michigan Mothman, other stuff. They're big people in the cryptozoology world. So we got that. Pat, you want to tell about Thursday? I'm sorry, that's June 16th at 10:30 p.m. So.
Yeah, Thursday we're talking about Bigfoot movies, right?
Yes.
Me and that guy Greg.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You probably know better.
Greg's a really good guy. Actually, yeah. So Pat is going to be on the Cryptocasters show on the Cryptozoology Club in Clubhouse at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the 17th. And they're going to be talking about Bigfoot exploitation films, or just weird Bigfoot movies. Pat's really good at that stuff. They're also going to be on with Jonathan Dodds, who's an amazing artist. He's big on Instagram. I think his Instagram account is like Jonathan Dodds Draws or something. So very cool guy. He's really into the stuff. Jonathan actually gave me a recommendation for this really weird fringe, like 70s movie. I'll have to pull it up and figure out what it is. But, so he kind of knows this stuff too. So if you guys are,
do you remember the name of it? Cause I was going to recommend, that's the reason, part of the reason I brought this up, because I wanted to recommend one for you too.
I can pull it up real fast. Give me 2 seconds. Hold on.
Mine's Tanya's Island, but I want to see what he recommended.
It's not Tanya's Island. It is The Alien Factor. It's from 1978.
Oh, yeah. He was talking about that in the last show we did.
He was. Yeah. He was. Yeah. So, and I haven't watched it yet, but maybe that's the one I'll watch, and I'll talk about. I might get on the panel. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Watch the trailer for Tanya's Island, though. There's a lot of it on YouTube. The whole movie might be on YouTube, but the trailer definitely is.
Well, a lot of these movies are. That's what Greg was saying at first. He was asking me. He was asking me if you might be interested in coming, or if I knew anything about these Bigfoot movies or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them for free on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, Tubi also. Tubi has a bunch. I mean, you can find these things in abundance. There's no shortage of fucking Bigfoot movies. So.
I'm doing Willow Creek. Have you ever seen that?
We talked about that when we had Ryan Tremblay on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Should I not talk about it? Do you think it's been done?
No, you can talk
Okay.
about it because you're going to
All
have a
right.
different audience over there. So
All
definitely
right.
talk about it.
Perfect. Oh yeah, me and
Um,
Ryan talked about it when we had him on the show.
yeah.
Okay,
You
that's
and
what
Ryan
you're
talked
saying.
about it.
Yeah, that's my go-to. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever you prefer. Yeah, and I mean they've probably seen it. It's popular enough,
Oh
so
yeah.
it might make for some good discussion. Anyway, so that's Thursday evening, the 17th, over on Clubhouse. If you guys need an invite, we can send you one. Clubhouse is now open to iPhone and Android users, so
Nice.
it'll
I love
be.
Clubhouse. That's my favorite. You haven't been. Have you not been on there like in the past week or so? Because usually I get notifications when you're on, and then I'll just like
Oh, really? And then you'll follow me
pop.
around.
But yeah, I mean, like you know.
Oh no, I guess I haven't really been on there much.
Okay,
No,
good.
with Jeremiah taking a break, like we were supposed to do the cryptid news on Saturday. Well,
That's right. I
and
was waiting for that. Yeah.
yeah, and we usually do it. We do it every Saturday at 2 p.m. And we told Jeremiah that we would continue to do the news, and I don't mind doing it. But the issue that arose with it is that there hasn't been any cryptid news, guys. Like, it's been really difficult to find news on cryptozoology because everybody's just talking about disclosure and aliens. And, like, I guess, like the latest news is that there was this skyquake off of the coast of California. I don't know if you saw that or not. But there was a skyquake off the coast of California, and, like, they felt it through California all the way down through Mexico. It shook people's homes, and everybody's like, what the hell was that? It's like akin to, like, the big booms. Well, what they're finding out is because of these, like, radars and shit that are always recording all the time, was that it was some type of aircraft making a sonic boom. They're going at record speeds. And I guess nobody's really talking about that. I haven't seen it that much anywhere. But yeah, I mean, they don't know what aircraft it was. They're not saying what it looked like or may have looked like or anything like that. They're just saying that it was an aircraft creating a sonic boom that created the skyquake that fucking rattled California all the way through Mexico. It's been a big hot topic. So there's that for news, I guess. I guess I had a couple. There's an incident that happened down in Hawaii that called for several F-22s to show up, and nobody really knows why. We don't have the report on that yet. We just know that there were 3 of them. And they were called there specifically for an incident, and that's all we know.
Oh wow.
So things. I mean, are things heating up? Yes and no. I mean, there's been a lot of nothing, just a lot of people giving their opinions and stuff. I know President Clinton came out and spoke about his opinion on everything, and Clinton was very gung ho about the UFO stuff. He really wanted to, well, allegedly, give people what we knew, declassify things. He also wanted to get to the bottom of JFK. He really wanted to do that. Bill Clinton, yeah. President Bill Clinton, yeah. And, so he was a big conspiracy kind of guy. So he shared his public opinion, and he's just like, well, I can tell you that I didn't have relations with those UFOs. And, he probably did. So
we've had twice this week, and this isn't a totally, it's definitely uncommon, but it's not like it never happens. We've had low flying helicopters, 3 of them doing maneuvers through downtown Chicago, and they usually do it. It's like the National Guard, and they do urban pacification drills, which is just as ominous as it sounds.
yeah.
But they'll do them from time to time in the city, where they just kind of like run drills where if they had to dispatch troops into the loop, into the downtown area, and the helicopters will come in off the Chicago River and kind of fly low through the buildings, and then practice dropping people off on rooftops or in areas of the city that they have kind of sectioned off for this stuff. And I first saw it when I was working down there, and I was on the roof doing my mechanical rounds at one of the buildings I worked at, and 2 helicopters were basically like flying kind of like parallel like to me on the roof, and I look over and I could see the guys in there, and I was like, holy shit. And there was like one guy like in the gunner seat, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I Googled it, and I saw that it was going on, and that's been going on all this week in the city. So yeah, I noticed it Monday and today. Today I only saw one of them, but Monday there was 3 of them that were doing maneuvers all along Lakeshore and into the city and stuff. And it's
Well, and we get a lot of that here with the Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Being right there. So, I mean, we're no stranger to things like that. It's just that when that stuff does happen, they tell us, there's a way to find it. And, not that like, well, sometimes it'll be on the news, but it's all like open information. You can go on the Wright-Patterson Air Force
Right.
website and
Yeah.
find it, and things like that. So I don't know.
We have the Great Lakes Naval Base, and a lot of stuff is run out
Yeah,
of that too. That's just a
yeah,
little bit north of the city. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys do. That's cool. That's very, very cool. I mean, some of the stuff is interesting, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I got to keep up on appearances with there. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens with the F-22. Well, that's what they said. It wasn't a drill. The F-22s in Hawaii wasn't a drill. It was an incident. It's just that nobody's told us what yet. It just happened Sunday, I believe. And then the Skyquakes, that there's no recorded drill. I mean, could it have been a drill of some sort? Could it have been testing and it's classified? It could have been. But nobody's really come out to say. They're just kind of saying they don't know yet. Just like with the disclosure reports, that's all it is. We just don't know anything. It's very annoying, isn't it?
Right.
I don't know. But so I was talking to a friend, and an old friend. We were catching up. My best friend Will. Some people are kind of familiar with best friend Will. But we were just kind of talking, and I don't remember what exactly brought this up. But I got the bright idea to ask him a question, and I'm now going to ask you, Pat. I'm going to ask you the question. Okay. Somebody comes to you, okay, and they go, "Listen, at absolutely no cost to you, I'm going to give you one of these two objects, and here are your options. Number one, a DeLorean. Now, not a time traveling DeLorean, just the car, okay, or you could have the white Ford Bronco." Which one? Which one would you choose?
Being a Midwesterner, the white Ford Bronco, because I wouldn't want to drive the DeLorean in the winter. But I guess, you know what I mean? Like, I live in a place where there's snow. We don't buy Camaros here. Like, we don't need sports cars in Illinois. I mean, I think at that point I'm looking at resale value, and I think that the Ford Bronco would probably net more than the DeLorean.
Right. Well, right. I mean, I think so. That's what we were talking about. That Bronco, I think it was on sale kind of recently.
Although I will say this, if I had, now that I'm thinking about it, being that now that I've become more of an entrepreneur in my age, and I think that if I did have a DeLorean, I could probably rent it out to bars when they have their 80s nights. I don't know.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and I could probably make more money running a DeLorean rental business where, like,
I don't know. You could rent out the white Ford Bronco during the 90s nights.
Or just during all kinds of functions. I won't even bother naming the different things that we could rent that out for. But yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The issue with it is that like the white Ford Bronco. Well, not just the white Ford Bronco, but the Ford Bronco. Man, that's the ugliest fucking car I've ever seen in my entire life.
My uncle had one, so I kind of romanticize them. So as a child, I remember riding around in them a lot. They were basically, I have a Ford Escape. It's like the same thing.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You both have the same car? I didn't know that.
You drive a Ford Escape?
I do.
Oh my god,
that's so funny. What color is yours?
I had a blue one, and then it met an untimely demise last summer. So now I'm driving my wife's gray one.
I have a blue one.
Really? That's what I had. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so
2011.
Mine's a 2010. That's so fun. I had no idea we had the same car. That's exciting.
That's fucking nutty.
No, I guess it's older now, but like, man, that car has treated me so good. I've got no reason, and I love it. I got no reason to give it up. But I'm only the second owner of it, so it's like, why would I trade it in? My mom's.
I like mine too. Well, I mean, as a parent, like it's great. Like, you can fit your kids in there, and you can fit other people's kids, but you can't fit too many kids. You don't get stuck taking the neighborhood anywhere. And if you got to, I have my tools in the back, and when I do my stuff, so it's like kind of the perfect size for me. I really wouldn't want anything too much bigger. You could still park in normal parking spots.
Right. It's not too big that you're an asshole, but it's not small. I mean, it's big enough to hold a certain amount. You can take it to the drive-in and pop the seats down, make a little bed. I mean, there's things you can do, and so it's. It's nice, but anyway, okay, we're off topic. Well, obviously there's a reason why I brought up the question. And the audience knows because you guys see the names of the episode. So we're going to talk about the Mr. OJ Simpson, the juice.
And did he do it?
Did he do it? Now, I know initially what you're thinking because the title of the episode is probably like, is OJ innocent or something like that. Because I'm going to clickbait the shit out of you, but it's not clickbait because we're actually going to talk about it, right?
Right.
And we
did research.
We did our research. We did the Google and stuff. Actually, I've been really into the OJ case for a very long time. Now, listen, I know everybody was into the OJ case at some point, but like when this all happened, I was a very young child.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember it like other people remember it.
You had to be like not even born.
No, I was. So the murder took place June 12th of 1994. So I was 3.
Okay.
I was just getting ready to turn 3. Actually, my birthday's this month. So I don't remember the trial and, the devastation when, he was acquitted, and I don't remember any of that. I just know it because of pop culture references over the years.
Right.
That's the only reason why I've really been into it. When If I Did It came out, I was already really into true crime at that point. I mean, I guess in case you guys don't know, I went to college and I dropped out. I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I dropped out. But I majored in criminal psychology. I minored in astrophysics. So that's why, that's kind of where these two worlds kind of meld my weirdness. So I've been into true crime for probably longer than I've been into like all the weird shit. But If I Did It came out, I read it and then I got really, really into the case. And that's where like the main theory that we're going to talk about kind of came from, was because that was one of the first things that I'd heard. Not in If I Did It, but because I started researching it more. So, Pat, do you remember the trial?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being at Mike Moy's 3-Star on 103rd and 108th and Western about, and it's a Chinese food place in Chicago. And my mom and I there for dinner, and the white Bronco chase being on the TV. Like I remember sitting there eating Chinese food with her and watching that shit. And that whole entire summer, the trial took place mostly over the summertime, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. There was no soap operas, which I was which I wasn't like a huge soap opera person as a child, but like I guess I kind of was. But it was all that was on during the day. Every single station was nothing but the OJ trial. It was the hugest thing, and it was all over everything from SNL. It was the only thing that the country was talking about.
Yeah.
The Kato Kalin, Marsha Clark's hair, all the weird Judge Ito, and I think Letterman had like the dancing Itos, and there was like they'd come out and they'd do these fucking dance. Like every aspect of that trial was turned into a punchline.
Right.
And was turned into some kind of like just joke thing. And I mean, just look at like the Cato phenomenon. Like after that, like Bud Light paid that dude to go to bars and like sell Bud Light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he would do like they used to do the what's up guys, like they would go to bars, or local radio DJs would go to bars. Like this Friday night at Joe Bailey's, meet Lou Brutus. And it was like Kato Kalin, like he became this like fucking celebrity. And who was he? He was a guy that lived in the fucking pool house.
Yeah.
Where Nicole Brown Smith was fucking killed or whatever, is that her name?
Well, no, he lived at OJ's house. No, he didn't. He lived in Nicole's house. Where did he live at?
No, I think it was OJ. We don't even know where fucking Kato's from.
Well, I feel like I heard the story so many times. I didn't
No, he lived in OJ's because he
that's what I thought. He saw OJ leave to go to the airport.
Yeah. So it was just like, it was so, even as a kid, it just kind of became, it was just everywhere. You couldn't hide from it. It just totally was absorbed. And then the fact that he got off, and like the narrative in the news at the time was pretty much he did it.
Yeah.
And he got off because those cops were racist. And, it was after the Rodney King thing. So there was already I remember those like riots in LA. and those race riots, and it was kind of a weird time. Although
Yeah.
as a kid, like you're aware of things, but I don't know how aware of it. I don't know how much it kind of mirrored the George Floyd stuff. Maybe pretty closely now that I think about it as an adult looking back. But it was definitely a period of
Civil unrest,
heightened racial tension in this country.
Right. Yeah.
And this kind of was somewhat at the epicenter of it. It was one of the major focal points.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was, and it was just kind of a, well, like you said, everybody was talking about it. I mean, it was hot news. It was what was, you were in the know about it. And I'm not sure exactly. I mean, maybe because of the race situation going on, maybe because OJ was a, famous person. I don't know. Well, who exactly was OJ Simpson? For people that don't know, OJ was he was a football player.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to start talking about. I knew him because he had like 2 SNL skits, and that were way before my time, but they would show him whenever they did like the best of SNL. I guess he was a host and did like a couple skits and stuff that were pretty well done.
Okay.
I knew him from the Naked Gun movies.
Oh, really?
I didn't know shit about football, and I didn't know, and he was like more of a college football player. I thought, like, I don't know, I know he was in the NFL, but whenever they talked about him, it was because of his college football days, and like, it was the guy from Naked Gun, and that was it, and
it was the juice,
right? And what was this, whatever his name was, but like, I couldn't believe that he was that famous or he meant that much to that many people. Because to me, he was just like this crazy background actor.
Just somebody. Well, yeah. I think he probably was. I mean, like I said, he was definitely, he did the sports thing. He was in the NFL, and we'll kind of get into some of those things a little bit more in a bit. But, I don't think he was like, I mean, he was famous, but I don't think he was like crazy famous or anything. He wasn't Michael Jackson, he wasn't anybody that was like, huge. But this was a big deal, and to the point to where we are still talking about this to this day. But everybody. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, can I talk about one movie that he was in?
Sure.
That honestly is worth checking out for a lot of different reasons. Capricorn 1. Are you familiar with that?
No, I've never.
Just because it ties into the show. It's about them faking the moon landing.
Oh.
So it's about, they try to go to Mars. They make a big deal about going to Mars, and they end up canceling the flight. So they take the astronauts and they have them film the Mars landing on a soundstage, and then they try to kill the astronauts because they don't want it to get out. Yeah. They're afraid that the astronauts are gonna spill the beans. So they go to kill him, and OJ is one of the astronauts, and he escapes and stuff. But yeah, it's a really good movie. It's one of those like 70s sci-fi movies, like Logan's Run, or like Soylent Green. Back when they used to make, or the original Planet of the Apes, when they used to make like kind of like studios would make like kind of edgy science fiction movies. But that was one of OJ's earliest starring roles after Roots. But yeah, definitely that's worth checking out. Not only because it's OJ, and but also because of the conspiracy stuff of it. 'Cause it's basically about faking the moon landing.
Okay. Wow, I had no idea. I've never heard of that. Maybe we'll have to check it out. But yeah, so I mean, right off the rip, like I said, everybody kind of knows. Everybody's on the same page. OJ did it, right? I mean, everybody's he killed Nicole and Ron Goldman. I think the reason why this blew up also so big was because of the police chase. That was televised, and I think that wasn't really normal back then, or it just wasn't really something that that happened like that. But we're not really here to talk too much about that. OJ was acquitted because of a lack of evidence. There just simply was not enough to convict him on, whatever you want to believe. Because it was one of the prosecutors did like drop the N-bomb or something in private, and I mean, there was some scandal going on and stuff there. But at the end of the day, there really wasn't enough evidence. I mean, what's the famous line? If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit or whatever.
Right.
And it didn't, but it wasn't just that. It was a lot of things. This guy came out with a book that proclaims that he can prove that OJ is innocent, and that not only is OJ innocent, but it was actually OJ's adult son, Jason Simpson, who committed this murder.
Right.
And a lot of people have never even heard of this before. And it's pretty wild. Now, Jason Simpson was never questioned by police or anything like that. But, of course, people did take it upon themselves for the time being to kind of come over and go through the other possibilities. There are a bunch of other possibilities. OJ says that he thinks it was drug related. All right. Okay, so we'll stop for a second. Before we go any further, and kind of like I'd already touched on earlier, everybody's going to say this. And I know, I know he did it. I know OJ did it because he wrote that book describing exactly how he would do it and exactly what happened. Well, here's something. OJ did not write that book, for one. Somebody else wrote it for him. OJ is not smart enough to write a book. But he didn't write it. What had happened was he made a deal with this author or with this publisher or whatever. And in exchange for $600,000, he agreed to be a part of writing this book. This was after the civil suit filed by the Goldmans, who they won the civil suit, which is a totally different matter than the criminal suit, the criminal trial. He had no money. And so he took it. He took the deal. And what OJ said, and it was against, his manager said, don't do this. And he said, you know what? Everybody thinks I already did it anyway. So I might as well just take the money.
And not, not that we're dunking on OJ. There's plenty of famous people whose autobiographies have been ghostwritten.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's and anybody that knows anything knows that. So I know that I'm preaching the choir on that. Anybody listening to the show probably knows that. The fact that he had a ghostwriter for that book should not surprise anybody. No. We're not saying that he's incapable of stringing sentences together. He's some kind of dummy in the grand scheme.
No, he's not that dumb. Yeah.
It's just this is the way it's done. Usually a celebrity will sit down with somebody and kind of go over everything with them, and that person massages their life story into a narrative and figures out where we come in, what note we come in on, what note we go out on, the beats that you want to hit. These people are not necessarily authors.
Well,
and if you've ever, there's very few celebrities that write their own autobiographies, and you usually know it when you're reading it. But yeah, you bring up an excellent point that his son was never questioned by the police.
Never.
But an interesting fact that our research unveiled was that even though Jason was never interviewed by the police, OJ still went through the trouble of hiring him a top criminal attorney.
Yes.
Days after the murder and before his own arrest.
Yes, he did.
At the time, his son was not being investigated by the police in any way, and yet OJ felt the need to have his son lawyer up before he even did.
Right.
And that, I think, is one of the most telling aspects of this theory. Now, I'm not going to subscribe one way or the other because, it's been so long, but I think that this is definitely, on Wednesdays we talk weird, we travel, and conspiracy theories.
Sure.
And this theory that his son is responsible has a lot of fucking legs to it. And has a lot of there's a lot of evidence to definitely strongly suggest that his son was involved, if not was the main perpetrator of the crime.
Right. And this is something that I've, it sounds crazy, but it is definitely something that I've been willing to give thought to for many, many years. I mean, this wasn't just kind of a random, let's just find something weird to talk about this week. Like, this is actually something that, I've been adamantly passionate about. I go on my true crime groups whenever people talk about OJ, and I just try to tell everybody, you know what? I don't think he did it. I think his son did. And of course, I never have anybody ever agree with me ever. But then again, they don't know. They've never really looked into it like that. They just go along with the narrative. Hey, OJ did it. We know he did it. But,
Right.
When you're really into this criminal law, I mean, that there really isn't any evidence to support that OJ committed this murder. Now, OJ was a very, okay, OJ and Nicole had a very checkered past when it came to domestic violence. However, Nicole wasn't innocent either. She and this is coming from I wear many hats. I'm also a domestic abuse advocate for my county. I am a domestic violence survivor. And I know that, sometimes you're beating up on each other, there's not just one innocent party. You're both, abusive to each other. Now there are plenty of victims. But from the records, Nicole was also she was violent towards OJ, and they just, like I said, they just hated each other. It seemed, allegedly. But I know that OJ has been, in trouble, and the police reports were written out in Nicole's favor. But he was never violent towards his kids. Now, Jason Simpson is from OJ's previous marriage. He's older, by the time that OJ and Nicole got together. And then OJ and Nicole ended up having children together. But OJ's been reported as being a very good father. I mean, his kids were absolutely devastated when all of this happened because they just couldn't believe that their dad could do something like that. Because he'd never had this really violent history. I mean, again, even with his quarrels with him and Nicole, I think he might have hit her one time and blacked her eye. But other than that, which I'm not saying is good, other than that, he would throw things around the house and, make threats and things like that. Again, not great.
But that's a far cry from premeditated murder with a fucking knife, which, to kind of cast a more suspicious light on Jason, he was known to have he had a knife that fit the murder weapon.
Yeah.
He had a lot of they tried to say that OJ could have had this type of knife because of it was like a prop from a movie that he had done.
Yeah.
Where he played a Navy SEAL, but Jason was actually in the Army and Navy Academy. He was actually, I don't know if he wasn't a SEAL, but he was actually in the military. And had this type of knife, it wasn't a prop. It wasn't something that was given to him at some point in his life. This was something that was a weapon that he was trained to use in combat and still had. And it matches the injuries suffered to Nicole after the fact,
Well, what William Deere is the guy that wrote the book, and I'll link that so you guys can get it because there's so much more. But what had actually happened was he had purchased a storage locker that was previously owned by Jason Simpson, and in the storage locker he found this knife that matched up with what the possibility of the murder weapon could be.
Right.
Now, they were saying that the specific set of knives that OJ had was what he could have used to kill, Ron and Nicole. However, forensics showed that they didn't match up, so scientifically that they weren't the weapon. But then Deere went on to have the knife that Jason had examined. And, not only did the blade markings match up, the butt of the knife matched up to a blunt force injury to Nicole's head.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of weird. Jason was also, he was previous military. He was in the Naval Academy, and he was trained how to use these things. He was trained in how to use these weapons.
Right.
So that's just one thing. Multiple pieces of evidence. OJ had, I think he had one injury to himself he had a cut or something on his cheek. I believe he said that happened from shaving or who knows, something, like a scratch. And, one piece of evidence that they know for sure is that Ron Goldman he was really bruised up on his hands. He had defensive, markings. He obviously
was a third-degree black belt, so he knew how to defend himself, and it had shown that he had done combat with whoever the attacker was.
He had tried, right? And OJ had not a scratch on him. OJ was also, even though like he was at this point he was retired, he wasn't doing the NFL anymore. He had gone on to movies and TV shows and stuff like that, because of multiple injuries sustained. I think his football career was even cut short because he had like such a severe injury at some point. He was not capable of fighting off a third-degree black belt. He just wasn't. I mean, was he a big, strong dude? Yeah, I'm sure he was, but, but then not just to fight this guy off, but to have no markings out of it whatsoever. Just weird.
Right. And to be able to drop two people, like, granted, whoever did this had the element of surprise going for them, but like, it's, you got to be like a ninja assassin to drop two people and walk away without a scratch, especially when one of them's a fucking third-degree black belt.
Yeah.
So it would make a lot of sense that whoever the murderer was, granted they emerged victorious, but they must have taken a hell of a beating.
They had to have, right?
And Jason was never examined by the police because he was never a suspect.
Right.
And there was physical evidence that Nicole had on her, like she like scratched people. She had blood on her fingernails or whatever from fighting off her attacker as well. That evidence did not match OJ's.
Yeah. They scraped
that
it
DNA did not come from him.
Yep. And it wasn't his. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which, granted, now that we're saying some of this stuff, it could also maybe there, could also lend some credibility to the theory that maybe it was OJ and somebody else.
Right.
Right. But at least, but maybe it was two people and that's how they were able to do this. But then it's like, that's some crazy shit. Like, hey, help me kill my.
Right. And shut the fuck up and don't ever say anything about it ever again.
Right. And we both have alibis and we're both going to get away with it.
Right. Right. I mean, it just, who could it have possibly been then? And, other things like, there were multiple fingerprints found around the property. None of them matched OJ's.
None of them OJ's.
The footprints were were smaller than OJ's feet. Those bloody footprints could not have been OJ's. They couldn't have been. When you tell me the guy donned, shoes that were 3 sizes too small for just a murder, you're giving OJ a lot of credit here. Again, we're not saying that he's, completely disabled, but he's not a very smart man. And especially this type of crime you're talking about, this would be more of a crime of passion rather than a premeditated. He really had no reason to kill her besides the fact that they had a rocky relationship. There's nothing, he wasn't worried about child support and stuff like that. He was already paying it. They were already separated, had been separated, living in separate houses.
So what, but Jason had been diagnosed with a rage disorder.
Yes.
And he had been known to, make angry and violent outbursts and had the article I was reading, it was known to black out and be committed to the hospital on several occasions after hearing voices in his head. So this dude was like all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah.
And that could potentially lead someone to take things a couple steps further than somebody just getting pissed at their wife and taking a swing at her. That type of rage disorder, you'll get in a car and go somewhere. What I mean? Or who knows? I mean, I don't know the exact setup. Like maybe he knew that she was fucking around on him, on his dad.
Well,
and maybe that factored into it, or maybe he knew.
For some reason, they never really got along.
It's a stepmom. I mean, that's not a unique relationship.
Well, right, and he was, by the time
people only get along with their step parents in porn.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's a really good point. I mean, she was probably closer to his age than she was to OJ's, but that doesn't matter. Jason had a very, he just had these violent outbursts and like he had this violent past. He actually had a criminal record and I had a bunch of petty shit. One of them was assault with a deadly weapon when he actually attacked one of his girlfriends with a knife. Right. And almost killed her.
Right.
And, and it wasn't just her. I mean, it was other people. He was, at the time that the murder took place, he was on probation for attacking his boss. He was a chef. And he was on probation for attacking his boss with one of the knives there.
Wow.
So, it's not like this was unheard of for him to attack people with knives. That was kind of his calling.
That was kind of his thing.
Right.
Yeah. If he was a Batman villain, he would be the knife guy.
Right, exactly. And who knows? Who knows why he was, why he would have been there or could have been at Nicole's or whatever. I mean, again,
we'll talk about his speaking of his job as a chef, talk about his alibi too, or his lack thereof. He was supposed to be working that night, and the time card that he punched in and out of, he had just signed for it, which is something that you do when the time clock isn't working. Except the time clock was working. There was no reason. He was the only person that signed in and out on his time card. And that was kind of his alibi. But once again, because he was never investigated, they didn't really do a whole lot of digging and talk to people that were, like, did this guy disappear for a couple hours? Did he come in late? Did he leave early? I guess they never figured any of that out. But
and when Deere was investigating, I don't remember exactly who Jason spoke with, but like he did mention that he was, I was at work that night. I was serving 200 people. It was a full night at the restaurant. It couldn't have been anywhere else. When Deere went back to that restaurant and asked what their capacity was, it was only like 80 to 90 people.
Yeah.
So he couldn't have been serving. I mean, does that mean anything exactly? Well, I don't know. When you kind of put everything together, it might have, Jason also was known for, he had a very troubling diary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That he, specifically wrote out that he would harm anybody that caused anything bad to their loved ones, which, again, OJ was tore up about this. I don't think that, whether OJ killed her or not, for whatever reason, if he did kill her, it was because he thought that he loved her that much that like she was going to be with him or she was going to be with nobody. OJ was in love with Nicole. They had a very interesting relationship. Everybody knew it. I mean, from the start, OJ got together with Nicole while he was still married to his ex-wife. And, everybody said it was love at first sight. They were the perfect pair. They were just crazy about each other, but, was it, could have been because Jason, felt like, Nicole hurt, somebody that he loved, his father. And that's why he did this. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, but you know what? The thing is, when you're OJ and you got all that money, women come and go. Like,
wow.
when you have that much money and you're fucking OJ Simpson. Now, granted, you're not George Clooney, you're not Tom Cruise, but you're still somebody. Are you going to risk throwing it all away to commit a double homicide because your girlfriend's going to break up with you? No.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to go to Vegas for fucking a long weekend. And me and the boys are going to bang some hoes. And I'm going to come back and I'll find wife number 3. At
that point in OJ's life, he was older, and I think he was ready to have that kind of stable.
Oh, dude. Like, no. Here's the thing. He was old when this happened. He was probably like my age. He was probably like in his 40s or something, right? But like, think about what he did. Like, what was it? 10 years later when he broke into that Las Vegas hotel room and like robbed those dudes.
Yeah, he robbed them of his memorabilia.
Right, exactly. But my point is like the dude still had some gangster in him then. Yeah. So you're gonna rewind in the clock 10 years and like, he still had a little bit of lean to him. Like, I don't think he's gonna throw his life. This wasn't like the last piece of ass he was ever gonna get, and this was it. And when she leaves him, he was destitute. He'd probably be like, "I'll find me another white bitch." Like, who fucking cares? Like, he's not gonna kill her. But you have a mentally ill, very mentally ill, trained to kill son who doesn't know who the fucking enemies are and blames other people for his problems, which he obviously had many. That to me seems more likely of a motive and catalyst to do something like this.
Yeah.
Not, oh my God, my wife's going to leave me. I'm a millionaire. What the fuck am I going to do? I know I'm going to commit double homicide and risk losing it all. Because if I can't have her, no one will. Like, dude.
Yeah. No, well, I agree. It doesn't. Well, just like, last week's episode with the guy, the flight person committing suicide, just doesn't make much sense. I understand.
Right. But sometimes shit that doesn't make people do stuff. And I don't know. Well, but
I wouldn't kill anybody. I mean, unless I absolutely had to. Unless I was fighting for my life. I mean, I wouldn't kill anybody.
Right.
But, you know, it
I'm
is
kind of waiting for the chance. I'm not gonna lie.
to kill someone. You wish
Yeah.
the motherfucker would, huh? Is that it?
I mean, like, I'm not gonna risk it all for it, but like, you know, if it's there,
Oh, I'm not, I'm not going to act like I haven't thought of, especially being again, a domestic abuse survivor. I've thought about it. If I'm put in that position again, what am I going to do? Well, next time I'm probably going to kill them because,
right. That's
you
what I mean.
know,
Stuff like that. Like,
right. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not innocent. Of course.
it's kind of too old to let people walk away. Like, I'm in a position, for
some people, not everybody, not a lot of people. I've since learned, since I've been through, and again, maybe one of these days I'll share the entirety of the saga of why I am the way I am and who I am. But you really kind of learn the meaning of hate. And you differentiate between just really strongly disliking a person and really actually genuinely hating them. And those people that you hate, you kind of learn that they kind of deserve it. But I should stop incriminating myself.
this will all be played back in court one day.
Oh, it is. They're gonna be like, you said that they deserve it. I'm like, God damn it.
Ryan Murphy's gonna make a mini series on this fucking.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Like an OJ.
Who's gonna play?
They're gonna be like, we know exactly who did this.
If they did a mini series, who would play you?
Who would play me? That's a really good question. Probably, what's her name? Everybody says I look like the one girl, Emma Watson.
Wait, Emma Watson or Emma Stone?
Emma Stone.
I was, when we were doing the, I can't really talk about it, but we were talking. No, we were talking. We had another episode that we did in the not too far back where I was going. A bit that I was going to do was talk about if they had made a Netflix series based on the topic of that podcast, who would play who. I think we talked about it after the fact. And I did the casting where I was going to be either James Van Der Beek or Ben Affleck or something. And I thought Emma Stone sounds good.
Yeah, probably Emma Stone. Well, I did that like reface thing for the Cruella stuff, speaking of which, and like I put my face on there and you almost can't tell. I'm like, oh, well, because I don't see it. I'm like, I don't think we look anything like. Everybody's like, it's just your facial expressions. I'm like, I don't know. But then like when I did that, the reface thing, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I see it now. Anyway, this has nothing to do with OJ. So.
Well, I'm out of OJ stuff to talk about, so this is all you for the rest of the show.
Well, now of course we, kind of speculate. What are some of the, what. Because Pat, this was new to you, right? You didn't know any of that. This was a new thing for you.
This is something you brought up. We were going to do something different this weekend. You brought this up Friday night, and I was like, "Get out of here!" There's people that actually think that he didn't do it because, once again, just being your average run-of-the-mill pop culture citizen that remembers all this stuff, that was just the narrative. And I guess that kind of speaks to like how persuasive the media can be when it's supposed to be being unbiased. It wasn't. The narrative from day one was that he did it.
Yeah.
And there was no question about it. And I think everybody that probably everybody listening to the show just kind of assumed he did it.
Right.
And then to just say, well, maybe he didn't. Let's entertain that idea for a second. And I was like, okay, maybe they faked the moon landing. Maybe the Loch Ness Monster is real. Okay, that's what we do on this show. Maybe. But then when you look at the evidence that suggests that it's his son, I won't say it's like, overwhelming, but I mean, it's a pretty, it casts a reasonable doubt. And, you got to remember he was acquitted of the criminal case. And, granted, he was found guilty of the civil case, and there's different criteria for a conviction with both of those. And I think there was a lot of social stuff going on at the time that could have swayed things one way, and then the pendulum swung back really hard the other.
Sure.
To where, but that's better left for another time. But I think it was interesting just to kind of explore this and to say, let's put on our what if caps for a second and keep an open mind and look at this stuff, And now I'm like, I honestly, I am nowhere near as sure as I was before that he was guilty. I think that this is definitely, it definitely casts a shadow of a doubt. And if I was a juror for this case, for this criminal case, and I was presented with this evidence, Which is another thing you could talk about, in a second, about how they never really did offer a competing theory,
Right.
which I know sometimes they do in criminal cases where, like, it's not about, it's not the defense's job to solve the crime.
Right.
The defense's job is just to say you got the wrong person, right? But sometimes the defense will kind of do that too, because they want to really give the jury, that extra oomph to say, not only did my guy not do it, but this is who probably did.
Right.
They didn't do that in this case.
Well, which would make sense if he didn't want to incriminate
if it was
his own
his son.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or look at the fact that he hired lawyers for his. I mean, that to me is like red flag number one. Why would he even suspect that his son had anything to do with this unless he knew something?
Yeah.
He didn't get all his kids lawyers right away. He didn't get, he didn't go around lawyering up all his buddies. Like, he went and hired defense attorney,
before his own defense. He hired a defense for his son. Yeah.
Yes. And that to me should immediately start casting doubt. And the fact that, like, it's his kid. He would have, if he knew he was going to get off on it and he just had to go through the motions of this fucking trial, he'd go up there and keep his mouth shut and sit.
Well, and he was, when they had the chase scene and all that, I mean, he was found with items to make a getaway, right? Everybody thought he was going to flee, and that's what was going on, except, and then other things kind of add up to that. I think he took a bunch of money out of an account, weird stuff. Except during the chase scene, everybody kind of seems to forget, like, he had a gun in his hands. He was going to kill himself. That was the plan. So he didn't plan to flee. Which one was it? Did he plan to flee or did he plan to kill himself? What if he was, taking stuff out to help somebody else flee and then kill himself? That, that makes a little more sense.
Wow. Well, that's pretty fucking severe. Like, you're gonna give your kid money to run and then you're gonna shoot yourself, so they just assume you did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the gun was for the kid too.
Well, it could be.
Here's $50,000 and a Beretta.
We're both parents, and you do anything for your kids, and you would, just about. I mean, you would just about do anything for your kids.
I mean,
one of these days.
No, you know what though? No, I honestly, can I be completely honest with you? If one of my kids committed a crime, I would make them face up to it.
Well, I would like to believe that that's what I would do as well. But when you're talking about something like murder, you're facing the death penalty, you're facing life in prison. I mean, it's not just like they're going to go away to juvie for a little bit and they're going to get out and come back. And then
but it's not like they're going to have a fulfilling, hey, you face up to it. You did the crime. You got to face up to it. You plead guilty, throw yourself on the mercy of the court, rehabilitate yourself, do what you got to do. Otherwise, what's the other option? Live on the run? Live on the run forever. Well, when you got OJ money, sure. And what kind of life are you going to fucking have with that? You think that's going to be a fulfilling life, spending your whole life looking over your shoulder?
It's not, but this isn't the first time that parents have done something. There's actually a case going on right now with a girl called, her name's Tristan Bailey, and she was found murdered. And she's a 14-year-old girl, maybe 13, 14. And the suspect right now is another 14-year-old kid, and it's kind of a big case. I don't know if anybody knows. Again, I'm a big true crime nerd. But I've been following it, and like the mom was just arrested because she was caught on home surveillance camera cleaning the blood off of her son's jeans. She didn't commit the murder, but she was definitely more than happy to cover for her son, because you panic. You don't know what you're going to do until you're in a situation like that. You know what I mean? And so maybe that's what happened here. Now, another possibility is that what if, and we kind of toyed with it earlier, what if OJ had help, and what if the help was his son?
Right. But then it's like, hey, me and you're going to go kill your stepmom. Like, why would you bring your kid into that? Like, do you love your kid? Like, I mean, just because I'm not going to cover up for my kid murdering somebody and help them go on the run for the rest of their life, because I think that's the best idea, doesn't mean that I'm going to involve them into a crime that I want to commit. That's shitty parenting. Yeah, that is really shitty parenting. I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, and that's why there's so much evidence to back up the fact that Jason was there, because he was, but OJ was there as well, and so that kind of makes some sense. And OJ's not going to own up to that because he, why would he? In the book, now, and again, and I know what I've said already about the book, about, if I did it, he says someone else was there, and he's not going to name who it was. Huh.
It says that. Now, could that have just been, the author editing it? Yeah, because it's OJ did not sit down with this person and go word for word for word. They did one interview, and then the book was written. So anything could have been in that book, and could it have been OJ's word? We don't know, but that is what's said. While he's describing the murder. If you haven't read If I Did It and you're interested in the case, definitely read it. But it's a lot of backstory, and then like the final chapters, you kind of then you get into the murder and the chase and kind of after and whatever. But yeah, when he's talking about the murder, he's talking about going over there. He says somebody else was there, but he can't really remember who it was. It wasn't Ron. It was somebody else. And but then he's not really going to name who it was. He doesn't really talk about their involvement much, but he does mention that another person was there, an unnamed person. So I don't know what that tells you. Yeah. What if Nicole and Jason were having an affair?
Oh, that's hot.
Isn't that hot right there? That's sexy, right? That's the sexy theory. It could be. And like I said, I think she was closer to his age than she was OJ's.
Oh, it's interracial. She's a stepmom. Oh my God. Imagine the dialogue right in that scene.
Stop it. What if that's what was happening? What if he was there at her house and Ron Goldman shows up to give her glasses? He freaks out because there's another man showing up and he's going, "Oh, I knew it. My dad said you were a whore," and took them both out.
But that would mean he'd have to have the knife on him.
He went to the Naval Academy. Why wouldn't he have a knife on him?
I mean, I guess
I know fucking neckbeards that carry knives around just because they think they're cool, But there's a lot of what ifs. Definitely, and this doesn't even scratch the surface of the evidence. Let me tell you, this William Deere guy, he really, really goes into it.
So what's his theory?
Is that Jason did it
solo or with OJ?
So, solo. OJ's completely innocent, just trying to cover up for his child.
And was Jason banging the mom?
No.
Okay, you're just a pervert. You're just throwing that.
Yeah, I'm just I'm just throwing out there.
I mean, hey, that's what we do on Wednesdays too. We talk weird.
Yeah, exactly. But no. But I think he's got like over 200 pieces of evidence in this book, or it's something crazy like that. It's called OJ is Innocent, and I Can Prove It. Again, it's by William Deere. You can get it on Amazon. I'll post a link. But read the reviews. So many people on it's not like, some of these books that are all like conspiracy and weirdness, like they'll have like 2 stars, right? This does not. Like everybody's like, wow, I thought for sure it was OJ, and now I'm finding out that it's not. People are having their minds blown by this thing. They're confused. So there's definitely something to it. The BBC also did a documentary on it,
right?
And it was called oh gosh, I don't know. I don't think I have that. Wait, no, here it is. It's called OJ Simpson: The Untold Story. So it's very similar. Now, I will tell you, I have tried to watch this, and I thought that the way it was presented was boring as fuck. Surprisingly, even though it sounds like it'd be really interesting, I just think that the narrative itself was very boring. It was bad storytelling with bad reenactments. But if you're not a reader, and you're more of a watcher, you can definitely watch it instead of reading it. But I recommend it, guys. Look into it. I know it sounds crazy, and I know that a lot of people might see this episode and just go, "Oh, there goes Ashers and Pat talking about their weird stuff again." But no, really, honestly, if we're going to present you these theories, at least, you should know by now that, neither of us are really 100% sold on some of the conspiracies that we talk about. I mean, we're honest with you, right? We like to present the facts here. And this one, personally, I don't think OJ did it. I think his son did it.
And as somebody that just kind of, once again, absorbed the pop culture stream of consciousness that he was unquestionably guilty. I don't know, man. I'm definitely more open-minded about it. It was a lot of food for thought. So
yeah. I think that there definitely might be something. Obviously, I wasn't there. And I hate to say that OJ's completely innocent. Because again, it could have been that he was there also. But
he did rob those guys in that hotel room.
He did. Well, I mean, he stole his own shit. So I don't know. Is that okay? It was his stuff to begin with. I don't know.
That he forfeited
He did well. I mean, yeah, but he did.
I get you. Yeah, I know.
He did his crime.
Shades
He
of
did his
gray.
time,
Shades of gray.
whatever. I know that the Goldmans also now own the rights to If I Did It. It was never released under OJ. OJ does not make any money off of a lot of things. Now, it's not that he's completely broke, but most things that he's contracted with or has to do, all the money goes to the Goldmans because of the civil case. So if you do decide to read If I Did It, know in comfort that if you don't buy it used and you buy it new, and you can even buy it off of like Kindle or whatever, a digital copy, all the proceeds do go to the Goldman family. So that's good.
Did you follow him on Twitter at all?
I don't follow him on Twitter, no.
I did on my, first of all, he's not verified, which is like hysterical.
That's fucked up.
And second, like I followed him on my last Twitter because my current Twitter it's not as big. I'm not following as many celebrities and shit. It's mostly just like podcast stuff and movie stuff or whatever. But he's very entertaining on Twitter, and I definitely think when this episode drops, we should tag him in it.
Yes,
because it could be interesting.
I will happily tag him.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? I'm going to follow him now because he posts like golf videos, or he'll give like commentary on things that are happening in the news, and he's an entertaining Twitter follow. He's kind of in the same vein as like Jose Canseco. Okay. Yeah, OJ, the real OJ 32, and he's got 90,000 followers. He's not verified, and he follows Elon Musk and a bunch of sports stuff, and followers we know. Oh, you do follow him. What are you talking about? I just
followed him while you're sitting here talking. I just now followed him.
Okay.
I was looking at his stuff. I was on it.
Yeah, me, you, Dilly Dill, and that's right. You don't know the person. And Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I just started following him. That's so funny. Well, we'll tag him in it and see what he thinks. I don't think he's going to be very happy because I don't think, obviously if he was covering up for his son, I don't think OJ can't be tried for it again, right? I mean, so if OJ just came out and was like, yeah, I did it, like, there's nothing we could do. And that's right. Kind of the thing also is that, with this book deal, he said, everybody already thinks I did it anyway. So if everybody already thinks he did it anyway, if he really did do it, why not just tell everybody that you did it?
I don't know.
Unless you didn't do it,
because socially it would kill him. I mean,
it already has though, Pat. It already had. Everybody already thinks he did it.
He still goes out in public. He still go to dinner places and play golf, and people may whisper at him across the room, but that's just about it. And I think if you went on TV and you gloated about how you did do it and you got away with it and you can't be tried again, ha ha ha, you'd have a hard time pumping gas without people fucking.
You don't have to do it that way, but he could do a whole bunch of appearances and talk about it, and he could. There are murderers that end up. The one guy in Japan, I don't remember his name, but he was a cannibal, killed some lady to eat her. We'll talk about him one day too. But he went on to like make porn and shit. Like he got out of prison. Like, he never even went to prison. He got lucky and went on to make porn. And he's happily telling everybody how he did this and how he ate this woman and it was great. He would do it again. And wow. they can't try him again. So, and he's, I think he died of like cancer or something, but like natural causes, right? Casey Anthony.
Dysentery.
Something, right? Who knows? Casey Anthony, she's fucking out there and, nobody's kicking her ass every day. It's not like, everybody talks about street justice. Well, no, street justice doesn't happen. Prison justice doesn't really happen. That's a myth. Street justice is a myth. That shit doesn't happen. So if he did it, he could make so much more money off of it if he admitted that he did.
Right.
So I don't know, but anyway, let us know what you guys think. Do you guys think that after hearing all of this, do you think that he has a case, or do you think that there is a worthy case against Jason? Do you think Jason had a hand in it? Do you think OJ's completely innocent? What do you guys think? Maybe I'll do a Twitter poll after a couple days after this episode drops, but I'm curious. I want to know what you guys think about it. It's been going on for a long time that everybody just assumes that he did, but right. have you looked at the evidence? Really? Did you really? Have you looked at this side of it? Let me know. So that's I don't know. Any final thoughts on OJ, and rest in peace, Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman.
Right. No, I got nothing.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, with that being said, we will see you back here again next Wednesday.